All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted One-on-One, and today my special guest is Coach Dave Richardson of Arkansas Basketball. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Coach, and then we'll go from there.
Well, like Aaron said, my name's Dave Richardson. I've been a strength and conditioning coach in the university level for the past 30 years. I'm in my second year, finishing my second year at Arkansas. Before that, I was in Columbus with Ohio State for 13 years. So I have a long career working with collegiate basketball players.
A long career and a great resume. I think anybody that follows Ohio State basketball especially will know the transformation that you have had on guys' bodies, if we can say that. I know you used to have that file from when they came in, taking pictures as a freshman, and then, their body fat going down, strength going up. Man, you do some good work. You know how to sculpt an athlete. So that's not, I wanted to, a couple of things right out of the gate. First of all, I just read this on Twitter, and you can believe everything you read on the internet. So 9 weeks from today, there'll be college basketball. That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. The way the season ended so abruptly last year, and then kind of going through what we've been going through, it's kind of hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We were at the SEC tournament in Nashville. We had just finished playing Vanderbilt. We won the first round game. We were supposed to play, I believe it was South Carolina in the second round. And the morning of the game at breakfast, Coach Musselman walked in and said, "Hey, we're going to go back up to our rooms and pack up. We're going home. The tournament's over." So, it was kind of a crazy situation. In my 30 years in college, I've never had to deal with anything like this before, any kind of pandemic that caused stoppage of a season and of a country. But we started training back in June, the end of June. And we've had to have, use the precautions for training, but, just trying to get the athletes to understand, hey, the season is coming. We don't know exactly when, but so we do have an end goal to train for. And so that's how we've approached it. And we've got 9 weeks.
Wow. Well, I can't wait. You know me, I'm a junkie when it comes to college basketball. Football's great. All that stuff's great, man. I love me some college basketball, so I can't wait. But I wanted to set up, before we dig too deep in, safe word always feels like the wrong thing. I come up with a better phrase. But anyway, I need to set something up because it is fluid, and you are in an NCAA position. I always want to be very respectful and thoughtful of that. So if I ask a question and you can't answer it, just say pass. And this audience will understand that we can't talk about that right now. I'm not throwing Arkansas into a violation because I asked a question that I shouldn't have asked. So just say pass and we'll keep moving on. But
that's fair. That's fair.
That fair? That work? Okay.
Yep.
So going through that, the next thing I want to do was let's go backwards a little bit. Because you were a part of something pretty special here in Columbus, and that is that 2007 Thad 5, as they called it, right? So can we go back to maybe even before? What was recruiting that team like? What was getting those guys to say, yeah, I'm coming to Columbus? What was that feeling like? And then to review, that team went to the championship game in 2007 against Florida. So what was that like? Just what was that ride like for you?
Well, it was a little crazy because, that was my second year at Ohio State. And my first year at Ohio State, to kind of even go back from there, was Thad Motta's second year. The first year they were under probation, and then he brought me in that summer before the 06 team, 05-06 team. And that is probably my favorite basketball team in my whole career. And that's the team that had Matt Sylvester and Terrence Dials and Jaquel Foster, J.J. Sullinger, and they were all seniors. They were picked 8th in the Big Ten.
Wow.
We won the league outright.
Wow.
I think we won 15 Big Ten games.
Wow.
And so that was one of the most special teams I've ever been around. But I still love those guys, and we still talk about that season from time to time. But the phenomenon of the Thad Five in that year, it was unbelievable. To go, I started being a strength coach in 1990. And, I started at some low-level, low major programs. Got my first break in 2000 at University of Miami, Florida. And then came to Columbus in 2005. I'd been to the first round probably 5 times in the 4 or 5 times in that 11 years prior to going to Miami. And then the 4 years I was in Miami, we went 1 time.
Wow. My
first year at Ohio State, we were a number 2 seed.
Yeah.
And so my second year, we were the number 1 team in the country.
Yep.
That was with Greg Oden and Mike Conley, Daquan Cook, and that bunch. And David Lighty, can't leave him out. Othello Hunter was the 5th guy. The craziest thing about going to the Final Four is when you're riding the bus to practice. It's been in Atlanta, it's always in a city, New Orleans, San Antonio. Is riding the bus to practice, you watch outside the window and you see everybody else in the country, college basketball, walking down the street. Yeah. They're going to dinner, they're shopping with their wives and family, because they all come to the Final Four for meetings.
Right.
And you like, hey, there's the head coach of so-and-so.
And they ain't playing.
They're not playing. So that was one of the most unbelievable things. And then, obviously getting to the final game, just the everything on the periphery is unbelievable. Sizing for your Final Four rings and just all the things that are involved with it. We got to go again in 2010 with the other Ohio State team that went to the Final Four. It was in New Orleans, so 10-11 season. So
yeah. Unbelievable. And and you got some hardware. I remember at your house, you got some hardware, man. You got a lot of rings.
Blings.
You got a big team and you need some rings. However that song goes, man, you got it. You got a lot between Big Ten championships, Big Ten tournament championships, Final Fours. You got a lot of bling in the house. That was a good ride, man. It was fun to watch. And so let me tell the story, because I got to tell the story, right? So first time I think you and I ever talked, I thanked you for holding Greg Oden out one more game, because that was the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and they usually play home and home. And they played in the Dean Dome. Number 1 ranked Ohio State came in, and you guys sat Greg one more game, and Carolina ended up getting the win. And then the next year they came here, and so being as the good dude that you are, man, you took care of me. I got my tickets, but you had one condition. And what was that one condition?
Condition was you had to wear Ohio State gear.
That's right. Even hooked me up with a polo. I mean, I still got it in my closet. I think I've worn it about a handful of times in my life, because it's good to have that around here. I mean, when in Rome. So we come in. I'm wearing my Carolina kicks. I was decorated head to toe, but I did wear my shirt. But underneath, I had the Carolina T-shirt on. You walk out the tunnel and look up in the stands, and there I am showing you.
Yeah, so my man, he's wearing his Ohio State polo. I look up in the stands, and the first thing he does is
absolutely,
and he's wearing the Tar Heel blue underneath.
That's closest to my heart is what I said. So, but no, man, that was bucket list stuff right there, and that was the 2018, which we're not going to talk Carolina all day, but that's Ty Lawson, Tyler Hansborough. You name it. That was a special squad. So that was, and the gym was electric that night. Like Diebler thought he was going to break out. He'd kind of been slow to get started. My man had like 20 at half. I think he hit one falling away on the way to the into the locker room at half. Everybody's lighting up my text like your boy's about to go down. And I think Hansborough almost got in a fight with somebody halfway through the game. Anyway, great memory, man. And I'll always appreciate that because we got to take Austin. He was about 8 or 9 years old. I think he barely remembers it, but that was special. So, all right. So, you kind of covered. So, all right. So you touched on this just a little bit, but so you now moved to the SEC, and that's now you're talking. And I don't know my SEC real well, but Kentucky, Vanderbilt, the schools like that. Obviously, Kentucky's always a huge favorite in that, because of their recruiting and things like that. But what's it like? What's it been like for getting ready for a season? You touched on it a little bit, but not knowing that date on the calendar for the Maui Invitational or the whatever, those preseason, that kind of early season non-conference schedule stuff that you got on the calendar. You don't have that. So what's that been like training your guys?
Well, we know that we're going to end up playing sometime. And so as a strength and conditioning coach, it's really important to start preparing the body for the rigors of that. So, not knowing exactly when you're going to start, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. You do have to maybe pull back at some point because you want to peak at the right time. So conditioning wise, we've been doing a lot of base conditioning, getting guys to work on things that they're not where they need, every guy kind of has their own little issues that we need to work on. So we've been able to spend more time individually training guys for what's important and where they have specific needs. The thing is, it gets monotonous for them to start practice, not knowing when the first game is going to be.
Right.
So, we were supposed to start, the first week of 9th or 10th of November. It's been pushed back 2 weeks. So I'm still not even sure what's going to happen with those games that we were scheduled to play in the period of the 2 weeks. There was probably 4 or 5 games there. So I'm not sure what the staff has decided to do about those games. If it was me, I'd just play all home games if you had that chance,
Yeah.
And then I think even with the SEC, I'm not sure, but we may end up playing a true round robin.
Right.
And every team twice. And so I know that SEC football, they've cut all the non-SEC games out. And I think they're actually going to play every team in the SEC, which is kind of unprecedented.
Right. And I think you're seeing that in I think ACC is doing that in football as well. Although Carolina, ironically enough, Carolina was supposed to play last Saturday in Charlotte against Charlotte, not a non-ACC, and they couldn't play because Charlotte had COVID. So,
by the way, I'm excited to see the Big Ten is actually going to play football. Better late than never.
Right. And like I said, I'm excited for that, but I'm also excited for the workers and the people and the people that rely, and it's terrible to say, but it's just truth, man. And there's people that rely on Ohio State playing football that don't do anything with football. There's businesses around there, there's restaurants, there's small shops, there's jobs at Ohio State that, there's other sports. I mean, you used to not just do basketball. What were the other sports that you did, like fencing and some others, right?
Well, I've done a lot of sports in my career. I've worked with, started with football, as we all probably did back then, but I've worked with tennis, volleyball. I had, when I was at the University of Miami, Florida, I had women's volleyball and men's and women's tennis teams. When I worked with the Ohio State men's golf team for a long time. I did work for the fencing team for a couple of years and actually got a national championship ring out of that. Add to my winning collection. And then, after I finished with basketball at Ohio State, I worked with men's lacrosse, and I actually did some work with men's gymnastics for a minute.
Wow. So Dave, I'm not a strength coach, as you can tell, but each one of those is different, man. Every one of those, right? Aren't you training differently? Pitcher, you don't train a pitcher the same way as you train a 4-hole hitter on the baseball team or the catcher, or those guys all have a different plan. What's that like shifting from a sport like football, which I gotta think is a lot of mass, and then basketball, which is probably more lean mass, because you got it. And then agility, obviously. And again, I probably have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But
I will say this. And one of my favorite sayings is, strength is an asset no matter what sport you play.
Okay. And
so, we have base programs that that strengthen the body, from head to toe, and it's base strength. But where we really differ a lot of sports is the specific movement of the sports. And that's called specificity. And how we train each sport is for the rigors of their sport. So, basketball needs to be repeatable. So it's strength that's kind of in the repeatable realm. And you got to be conditioned and in shape to do that. Football plays last 3 to 6 seconds.
Right.
And a basketball, sometimes we've blown right through that first TV timeout. And we've played from the tip-off to about 13 or 14 minutes into the game before. So,
right.
There's different ways, and that's more of the conditioning portion of the strength and conditioning. But even strength-wise, you're right. There's different ways to train different sports, but you want to make it specific to the sport that they play, keeping in mind that strength is an asset for whatever sport you're playing.
Yeah, that's a great quote, and obviously something you probably live by in your day to day. Let's shift gears to, and this may be a past question. I'm gonna preface it.
All right.
Over your career in sports and all the different sports and all the different universities, how have you seen recruiting change? Because I gotta think it's changed. I gotta think I had Cammie Prannell on from Ohio State. She played softball there. She talked about, and I asked her, when she committed as a freshman for softball. That's crazy. But and I said, did you have the hats, and the table, and you picked Ohio State over Georgia or Carolina or whatever? And she said, no, like they just announced, done. And nowadays, man, it's like a gender reveal every time a kid commits to someplace. And then I was on with somebody else, and then we talked about how they do the 3-panel, 4-panel. I'm down to my last 7. And in a way, how disrespectful that is to coaches that, you see it obviously with your staff. Those guys put a lot of time and effort into just hoping they can get this kid to commit. So,
building relationships.
Yeah, right. And that's almost a little disrespectful at that point. And I know a lot of guys probably call and say, thanks, coach, and all that. And how have you seen recruiting change? And if this is a pass, then you can pass.
Well, I'll skirt it a little bit. It has changed over the years. With social media, it's changed everything.
Right.
And so, the one guy that starts to put a hat on and throws it on the floor and picks, it's just different, man. But it's when you asked about the recruiting question, I thought you started with it. I was thinking about our approach to recruiting,
and I'd like to know that too.
Yeah, kids are different. It depends on the type of kid that you are. Coaches, they don't even care about that as long as they get who they're trying to get. But social media has changed really the whole thing. And my staff right now at Arkansas, they have been on the forefront of social media and staying up to date and current. And Eric Musselman is an unbelievable innovator when it comes to not only himself, in staying in social media, but branding for athletes and all these other things that are new parts of the collegiate game. Branding's become a huge thing. And so I've had my eyes open a lot to the innovation through the staff here and how they do things.
Wow.
It's a new world really kind of every day because it's all one-upsmanship. Who's gonna do better than that something that happened last year. Yeah. It's fun to watch, but it's also can border on the ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that needle probably goes that way more than the other, but it is fun to watch. As fans, I don't do it as much as I used to, but you used to get glued to, oh wow, he's got us in his top 5, and it's like, man, he's just a kid, and it doesn't matter, but because ultimately, and especially this in college basketball, what we're talking about, how many times is that number 1 team, or especially the number 1 recruiting class? I think I can count 2, maybe 3 times that number 1 big dog recruiting class actually won the title. Yeah. And so, and that's Duke, I think, won one, much as it pains me to say it, a couple years ago. And then, Kentucky, the Anthony Davis class. But even then, that class had a senior on it And that kid, and I don't remember, I just remember his last name was Miller, but he would come in. I remember that team would get completely erratic, and he would come in off the bench and slow everything down. They'd calm down, and they'd get back in the game. So as you look ahead to your team, what's your team look like for this year? Do you have that mixture, or do you have young guys, or what's your team look like?
Yeah, again, the staff has done an unbelievable job with our roster. We signed 4 freshmen from the state of Arkansas that were all in the top 100.
Wow.
And then we have 3 grad transfers that have come from various programs around the country. We had 2 guys that were sitting out last year. One's a 7'3" perimeter player. Coach Musselman's done an unbelievable job with his roster. And now, the crazy thing is with this COVID, you may have 2 guys out this week, can't play in a game.
Right.
Be 2 different people the next week and 2 different people the next week. So it's a little interesting how he's going to be able to put roster and starting 5 and playing rotations together with guys not knowing who you may have on the bench that week.
And that's going to be true for who you play too. So you could scout all week knowing that they got a 3-point shooter or their big man. The game's changed. They're all 3-point shooters now. But
right.
But you could scout all week for a certain player and then find out midweek he's got COVID and he's out.
Right.
You probably had that before with sprained ankles and stuff like that too. But man, that
nothing to this degree.
Right, 100%. You could lose half a team. So
what if one of the coaches gets it?
Oh man, right?
Or the staff or your athletic trainer, it's a whole new world, man. This season's going to be so different.
It is, and I hate that because I just like things back to the way they were. But this is the world that we're living in, and so let me ask you that too. Did you guys have anybody? Because in some of those rules changed as well. So you said your season got cut short. I know didn't the NCAA expand? Did they do that for basketball too, where guys could come back for another year? And did you guys have anybody that did that?
We did not. Actually, we lost 2 kids early to the draft that are going in the draft. They're underclassmen, so did not have anybody come back. I'm not sure they were allowing basketball players.
Okay, I know baseball they did.
Yeah.
Well,
baseball never got to play their season.
That's terrible.
They might have played 10 games, but men's and women's basketball got to play all the way their full season into the SEC tournament. So yeah. Well, I was glad on two accounts. Well, the Carolina-Syracuse game in the ACC tournament, people were saying that was going to be the last game of the year because that was like the last one that played, and then I think there was that one that played the next day till halftime, which is absurd. Yeah. And then remember that Big East or whoever it was, but Carolina was trash, so they didn't make the tournament anyway. So I'll take it. We're back this year. So, all right. So we're going to shift gears completely. Like I'm going to grind I'm going straight from fourth gear to first right now. Let's talk Ninja Foodi Grill. All right. So wait, hang on. Let me put a pin in that. We got to tell the story of the worst 5K ever. Was that even a 5K? What the heck was that at Ohio State? In the rain. My shoe kept coming untied. So for those listening, our wives are just machines. They can just run for days. And I personally am not. Dave is better than I am at that. Actually drugged me on my first run around the block. I almost died. But we went and we were in a Ohio State fundraiser 5K or something. Yeah. And man, we're standing in the gate. It starts raining. Not just raining. It was a downpour, right? Right at the start.
Right at the start.
I think it was a 4-miler. Wasn't it a 4-miler or something?
It was a 4-miler. And the girls said, "Oh, we'll all stay together." Remember that? They said, "Oh no, we'll stay together." And then probably in the first minute, they were gone. And then Dave and I are jogging together, and my shoe literally kept coming untied. And So I think I stopped on lane twice, and then by that time Dave's gone. So I'm just bringing up the anchor.
I was trying to get done, man.
Yeah, man, those were good times. We loved having you all here. And so that kind of leads me into the fact that our wives are good friends. And recently my wife took a trip to see you guys down in your new home. So it was beautiful.
Welcome to Fayetteville.
Oh man, she loved it. She loved the just the great trip. And while she was there, you made a meal, which, man, you can make a meal now. What was the one that you used to make here? Is it etouffee? Am I saying it right?
Little crawfish etouffee.
Man, and Dave can make a meal. Didn't you buy like a big kettle and like a canoe oar to make it for your whole cul-de-sac?
Yeah. When I cook big
time. I mean, big time. So then my wife comes, she has a meal at your home, and she comes home raving about this thing called a Ninja Foodi grill. And man, I got a $20 grill at Walmart. I'm not gonna lie, that was my grill, and I'm still using charcoal, and I'm just burning everything, and I'm not that guy. And so I get one for my birthday, and man, the game's changed. It's changed like that. It's idiot proof for the most part. Talk about your Ninja Foodi grill.
Okay, well, I got to preface the whole thing by, my wife loves gadgets, and she's Cajun. And I usually tell people that, my background is like, I grew up in the military. My dad's retired military. I joined the military out of high school. And I've been a strength coach for 30 years. And I married a Cajun girl. So my whole life has been defined by conflict. So, I know, right?
Yep.
So she loves gadgets, kitchen gadgets. And, we've had the bread maker. We've had the George Foreman. Every type of, what do they call the pressure cookers and the
air fryer.
And she says, hey, I want to get one of these air fryers. And I'm like, here we go again, because it's going to end up in a box, tried to be stored somewhere. It's the best money we've ever spent.
100%.
100%. So yeah, we're trying to eat healthy. So I cook chicken in there. We cook vegetables in there, which is phenomenal.
Amazing.
It's so really, yeah. So literally, it's one of the things I had to learn, I guess. But it has been some money well spent.
Oh, unbelievable, man. And I'm not a veggie guy. If it made Little Debbie's, I'd be all in. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, and so my dad bought us some seeds to plant in the backyard for the summer. So we had a little garden going and didn't know what to do with half of that stuff once we had it. And then we got that thing, and man, squash. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm making that right-hand turn, and I'm checking out the veggie aisle now. And peppers, onions. It was funny. I text Dave for our audience. I texted him about maybe a week or two after we got it with pictures of all the stuff I made, and he said, "Man, give that thing a break." It was great. But no, I don't think I have. I don't know. There's a day goes by we haven't used it. Flatbread pizzas. You can make them about 4 or 5 minutes. Bacon. I mean, you name it. I'll put a link in the post when I put this up and actually they got a big price drop right now. I've been watching, and they're about, I think, $160 at Walmart now or something like that, or Costco.
You have to get 2 of them going at once.
I'll tell you what, I might need to. My electric bill is my oven's lonely because I don't use it anymore. It's everything is just amazing in there. But anyway, so that was a lot that we squeezed in a half hour. I want to be respectful of your time, man. It's great to see you. Let me ask you one more question before I get off, because I know you're a big reader. What you reading right now?
Well, honestly, I haven't had a whole lot of time to read. I am reading a Bible book. It's more of a devotional type book, but I tell you what I found. I found Netflix, which has been a problem
Haven't we
during
all?
COVID.
Haven't we
I
all?
found. I mean, we spent 2 weeks right after the tournament, the SEC tournament, where we literally had to stay home and didn't do anything. It was only 2 weeks, and then we started coming back to work. So this has only been. We started work back in June. But I never knew about Netflix.
Unbelievable.
So I've binge watched a number of things, and that's kind of taken some of my reading time away. But I do need to get back. There's a couple of really good books that I'm starting to stack up.
Yeah, Netflix, you got a lot of catching up to do. You got a lot of catching up to. If you just found it, there's a lot.
Just found it.
On. Yeah, did you have you watched The Last Dance on there yet?
I have. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that was
unbelievable, man. That thing could have gone on for about 2 or 3 seasons. That'd been great.
Yeah, 90s basketball was just different. It was a different era, and it's a different time nowadays. But it's good to see some of your guys. That was everything I was going to mention. I know I said I was done, but I got one more. Florida, man, and I know the team you lost to, and I hate to bring that up, but let's look at that team for a minute. Horford's still playing. I think Brewer's still playing on somebody. Joakim Noah's back playing again, and there's a fourth. Who's the other one? They're like, whoever the fourth was, there's 4 guys from that roster, and Billy Donovan still coaching, like in the NBA. I mean, that, and I know he just resigned, but still, like when I saw that, those guys have been playing a long, long time. But to your guys' credit, Conley's still out there getting it done. I mean, I thought for sure the shot that he took was going in to beat Denver. What a shot! Yeah. I mean, it was right there. But it's good to see those guys still playing, and I know Ohio State's got some big things coming up this year too. So yeah, man, this was great. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for your friendship. It's been awesome. I know. So should we tell people what you used to say about us sitting together in church, or no? Is that safe?
Well, I was going to ask you. I've seen a couple of these broadcasts. I was going to ask, do you ever have anybody on with hair?
Wait till you see, man. I got this week. When I was putting the little panel together, I think 4 or 5 of the guys, nobody's got hair. I'm like, man, this is
prerequisite. We used to say that we couldn't sit next together in church because we'd look like a butt.
Absolutely, man. But honestly, we loved your time here. We were so thankful that we got to spend time with you guys as a family, and we'll continue to watch Arkansas. I watch the games just to look over at the bench there. I noticed your seat's not on the bench; it's kind of in that first row of the curve. Is that about right?
It's fine with me. But I can actually yell at the refs from over there.
There you go, because you seem like a fan. So yeah, that's awesome. But no, I usually check out the SEC games just to see if my guy's sitting down there, and so we'll see you on TV, and I'm sure we'll be in touch again. But thanks for your time, Dave. It was great to catch up with you again.
All good, man. God bless.
All right, you too. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.